Today, Donald Trump will get his first chance to talk directly to voters since he was indicted on federal charges and before his arraignment here in Miami on Tuesday. He'll be on the campaign trail today in North Carolina and Georgia. Former Vice President Mike Pence will also be on the road in North Carolina. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, again not in Florida, will be in Oklahoma. Pence has tried to walk a fine line, criticizing the DOJ while declaring at the same time that no one is above the law. But Ron DeSantis has leaned into defending Trump, tweeting, quote, "The weaponization of federal law enforcement represents a mortal threat to a free society." Joining me now for our Saturday Power Political panel, former Florida Congressman and MSNBC political analyst Carlos Curbelo and Fernanda Mondi, Democratic pollster and MSNBC political analyst. Gentlemen, we now have a federal indictment. Carlos, I have to start with you. DeSantis saying that this is a mortal threat. I mean, it's the party of law and order. Last I checked, we talked to Denver Riggleman just this last segment. I mean, what in the hell's going on? Because it's a DOJ, it's a grand jury. I mean, there's a process here.
So this is the textbook case of the Republican Trump trap, where a candidate like Ron DeSantis performs for a Republican primary audience, but then puts himself at risk. Let's say he makes it through. Let's say Donald Trump goes to jail and Ron DeSantis becomes a Republican nominee. Then he has to face general election voters and explain why he thought that it was okay what Donald Trump did and that it's the Justice Department and law enforcement that's actually wrong here. That's what happened to candidates in the midterm elections in 2022. Okay, that's why they lost, because they were too aligned to Donald Trump. They were perceived as being too radical. So DeSantis is trying to signal to the Trump base, I'm okay, I'm one of you. But that could end up costing him if he actually makes it through the primary.
And Fernand, to Carlos's point, though, is there really a risk of true MAGA diehards actually saying that, nah, this is not a politicization of an administrative arm like the DOJ?
You know, Katie, it's difficult. I know we're trying to look at this from the political impact, the political lens, but as an American who believes in this Constitution, this democracy, and in this country, it's very difficult to try and politically judge what's happening here. We're now 36 hours removed from the second federal indictment, the first federal indictment, the second indictment of a former president. We've now seen what's in there. It's worse than we could have imagined, but nothing surprising. And the fact of the matter is, not a single Trump Republican, not a single one has come out and said, all right, enough's enough. It's time to break ties. We have to call this out. What that suggests to me is that this is how fascism happens in the United States. Do we doubt for 1 second that if instead of just these charges, if Donald Trump, to paraphrase his own words, if he had shot the FBI agents on South Ocean Boulevard who had come to retrieve those documents, would there be any question that the Trump Republicans today would be citing Florida's Stand Your Ground law and accusing the administration of physical intimidation and justifying that conduct? Of course not. The problem we have now, Katie, is this is a party that is declaring cleanly and clearly before the eyes of the world, we don't believe in the rule of law. We believe in power. And this is a threat to Donald Trump's power and therefore our power. So we are going to close ranks behind him. This is a very dangerous moment for this country.
And Carlos, you know, I want to harp on the actual fear of physical violence because we've seen it happen on January 6th. Washington Post reporter Isaac Arnsdorf tweeted, quote, Kari Lake speaking in Georgia tonight, this was yesterday, says to get to Trump, Merrick Garland will have to go through 75 million Americans, and most of us are card-carrying members of the NRA. That's not a threat. That's a public service announcement. Kari Lake responding to Isaac, I meant what I said. I mean, there is hyperbole, there's puffery, there's, political banter. I don't know what you want to call it. But there's a legitimate fear, Carlos, that people could actually get hurt because of these calls for violence. And by the way, it's not just Trump right now doing it. There are actual politicians that are calling for violence.
That's right, Katie. And by the way, this city is going to host this theater here on Tuesday in Miami. Trump will be coming to the city, we believe. And I can tell you that local law enforcement is concerned that there could be violence and that they're taking special preparation, special steps to make sure that they're prepared to deal with any potential violence. So these words matter. I mean, these people don't understand. They have followers. And we've seen how those people have been misled in the past. January 6th, right? Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, turned to violence as a solution in a democracy, in a democracy is supposed to be the example to the world, right? And I think that especially strikes home here in Miami, where so many people, so many of our families came from countries where democracy was lost, where institutions were broken. So it's a real concern.
Katie, I disagree with the congressman because I think, Congressman, they know exactly what they're doing, right? They know exactly what they're saying.
Some of them do. Yeah,
they know what this rhetoric means. And here's the truth. I mean, if we want to be crystal clear here and not hold any punches, they want this political violence. This political violence is how they overturn the rule of law. It's how they create and foment this environment that allows them to keep what they most desperately want, and that is power. This is not about the rule of law. This is not about politics. This is about bare-knuckle, unvarnished power, Katie, and they understand the stakes, which is why they're amping up the rhetoric and engaging and tripling down on the lies. To suggest that Joe Biden is doing this, not a grand jury of South Floridians who are the ones who said yes to this, not the Justice Department acting in independence, even of the Attorney General, special counsel brought this case, simply reflecting the very words out of Donald Trump's mouth, that he would defy this law, that he would break this law, and what are you going to do about it? They want this violence. They know this is what they need, and that's why they're doubling down on it.